Good afternoon. So today is our third week for the lesson CSS 12 for second sem. And now we are going to discuss new topic. Okay, but before that, let me first read to you the objectives of our lesson for today. So objectives. So at the end of the lesson, the student should be able to A. Identify the parts and tools used in the assembly procedures, and B. Exemplify the standard operating procedures in computer hardware assembly. So from the objectives that I have read to you, what do you think will be our lesson for today? Alright, so our lesson for computer hardware assembly. So computer hardware assembly. Um, Here, you have to read and understand computer hardware assembly procedures in installing and configuring computer systems. So your understanding on this will help you deeply understand the parts and tools needed as well as the steps in hardware assembly in computer systems servicing. So here are the steps in assembling or installing on the hardware. So here we have the first step. We have the preparation of parts and tools. So ensure that all parts and tools that will be used in the assembly procedure are in your possession. So use the proper tools in order to avoid damage to your equipment and physical injury. Uh, so you will need the processor or the CPU, the optical drive, DVD-RW and SATA capable, memory RAM, motherboard or SATA capable, I/O bezel plate are usually included with the motherboard. We have the SATA cables, processor fan, hard drive or the SATA capable, power supply, computer case, screws and standoffs, screwdriver for the slotted and Phillips head screw, needle nose pliers, adjustable wrench, wire cutters and strippers, utility knife, small flashlight, small container to hold, and heat sinks, sink compound, and grounding strum. So you have to take note that you have to double check all the parts to verify compatibility with one another. So you have to refer the specifications provided by the manufacturer. So the tools that will be used in each installation may vary depending on. So step 2, what you're going to do is you're going to prepare the case for assembly. So this is the case. So you have to remove the side panels of the case by sliding them back after removing the attached screws. That's the third one, or the step 3, or just this is just included on the step 2. So you have to remove the packaging materials and other PC parts inserted into the case, such as the USB ports and cables. So you may need to label these parts yourself before the assembly procedure, so if they have not yet been labeled by the manufacturer. So you have to refer to the manufacturer's documentation for details. Next is you have to open the drive base by removing the covers of the optical drives. Press the retaining tabs to do this. Step 3. You have to ground yourself. So you have to wear the grounding strap on your wrist and connect the other end to a metal clasp or a small hole on the metal part of the computer case. So do this to avoid damaging the components with static electricity coming from your body. Step 4, you have to mount the motherboard. So mount the I/O bezel plate into the opening at the back of the case by pushing it from the back. And you have also to mount the standoffs in the case, so you can find the standoff screw in the mounted holes of the motherboard. So you have to make sure to know the exact location of the screw hole on the motherboard. So place the motherboard into the case in alignment with the I/O bezel. So the motherboard must touch only the screws and stand-offs to avoid damage. And next, you have to attach the screws properly. Next is you have to take note that do not tighten the screws until all of them have been placed and board is lined up by the with the bezel. So now let's just discuss from step 2 to step 3 and or step 4, and then we will continue the step 5 and more next meeting. So please study, and we will see you again next week. Thank you and goodbye.